Hey everybody, it's Kate the West Coast Paper Crafter. You are joining me on Monday evening, January 20th, and you are joining me from my craft slash spare room in Nusuk, Vancouver Island, Canada. So tonight I have got a really fun project to show you using pom-poms. Now this was a project that I had put together for my in-person class yesterday. And tonight I thought it would be really fun to combine that idea with the Darling Dinos bundle and create this super cute card that is just perfect for a little person's birthday, or if you have grandkids, or if you just love pom-poms and dinosaurs. So it is a little bit finicky with the gluing, and it does take a little bit of patience, but the end result is just too fun. So let's get started. I'm going to get this out of the way for a minute. And so this is the stamps that I'm using, the Darling Dinos, and I'm going to stamp this little T-Rex. And I'm going to use some of the sentiments from this set as well. And it also has dies, so I will use a die to cut out the T-Rex. Let me get that out of the way for a second. And this bundle is in the mini catalog on page 51 if you are wondering where I found it. So Stampin' Up! Mini catalog, it just came out January 7th, I think. And this was one of those stamp sets that I said I was not going to get. And I need to make a compilation of all the stamp sets that I say I'm not going to get. And then I see somebody make something super cute or really pretty, and I end up getting the exact stamp set that I said I didn't want. So I'm going to start keeping track because the Darling Dinos is one of them. Hey Judy, thanks for tuning in. So very simple pieces for this card project. I've got some basic white to stamp on. I've got a blueberry bushel card base, and this is 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored and folded at 4.25 on the 8.5-inch side. I've got a pool party layer. This is 4 by 5.25. I've got two pieces of basic white. One is 3.75 by 5, and the other one is 4 by 5.25, and that's for the inside. So I'm just going to put that out of the way for a second, and we will get started. So first things first, we'll stamp the dinosaur. I'm just going to stamp this little guy in basic black, and then I have grabbed my blending Stampin' Blends. I've just got 2 shades of green, so I'm not getting super fancy with this dinosaur. I'm going to use Granny Apple Green for his spots and his belly and his spikes, and then the Lemon Lime for the rest of his body. So I'm just starting with dark Lemon Lime Twist, and I am going to add the darker color on his little T-Rex arms and around his mouth and down the front of his belly, or not quite the front, to the chest, just before the belly. And then I'm just going to kind of trace along where the lines are and just add a little bit of shading with my darker color. And I'm going to shade a little more up at the top. So I'm going to color over these spots, but I am going over them with a darker Granny Apple Green, and that's going to blend in nicely together. So when you're using your blends, when the color's a bit wet, they don't look like they blend as well together, but once everything dries, then that ink gets a chance to, you just can't tell as much, if that makes sense. So sometimes when I'm doing my blending, I think that there's too much of an obvious difference between the two colors, but I just need to let it dry. All right, now before I forget, I was just going to pop a link in the comments. I always forget to do this. but I'm putting in a link that goes to all the things. So if you don't have a copy of the mini catalog, you can find it in that link I just posted in the comments. Now, spoiler alert, it is Canadian, so if you're not in Canada, the prices aren't going to be true for you. But you will find the mini catalog in that link, as well as a link for the celebration brochure. So if you haven't had a chance to look at those things, you can find them there. All right, so I've colored in most of him or her with the lemon lime twist. Hey Brenda, thanks for tuning in. And now I'm just going to take my, what color is this? I want my dark granny apple green, and I'm going to use the bullet tip. And I'm going to color in these spots. And I'm going to do spikes as well. So you can get so creative with coloring these dinosaurs. You could color them any color of the rainbow, and I think they would turn out just as adorable. All right, now I'm going to give him a little bit of darker granny apple green shading on the belly, and then I'm going to come in with my light granny apple green and just blend in that dark and light color. All right, so that is it. I'm going to get these blends out of the way, and I don't know if you can see that without my camera getting blurry, but I left his toenails white. Oh, hang on. I missed one little part of his foot. I'll color that in. It almost looks like a toenail, but I think it's part of his foot. All right, now it's done. Hi, Divine. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so here he is, super cute. There is a die to cut this out. And if you don't have the dies, then it's easy enough to fussy cut this little guy. So I've already gone ahead and I've cut him out. But this one, I have added, I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to bring it right up. I've added glasses. Isn't that adorable? It's so adorable. So there's glasses in the stamp set. So here's one without glasses, and here's the other with glasses, and I just think that is the cutest. So there's also a little bow tie in the set and a top hat, and oh my gosh, it's too cute. So we're going to use the guy that I've already pre-cut that I put some glasses on. Hey Kate, thanks for tuning in. I know, Judy, it is so cute. Okay, so now on the piece of white that is 3 3/4 by 5, I'm just going to blend in a bit of a background for my T-Rex. So I'm starting with granny apple green. I'm going to start adding some green in layers. I'll add darker as I go onto the bottom of that basic white. So I don't want it too dark. And sometimes I'll use a scrap piece of paper and I'll start blending on that scrappy piece of paper first, and then I'll pull it onto the paper, and then I have a smoother finish. I don't get any really dark areas, but sometimes I also will use the inside of my stamp pad, and I will rub that ink off on the inside of the stamp pad and save my ink that way. So either way works. You can use scrap paper, or you can use the inside of your stamp lid, and then that way you're not going to waste any of your ink. Hi Kathy, thanks for tuning in. So I have enough green. Now I'm going to add the sky in Pool Party. And Pool Party is pretty light. How did I get a spot on there already? Who knows? I'm definitely a sloppy crafter. I'm going to get ink smears and glue smudges and you name it, it's going to happen. So somehow I got a spot on my paper. I don't know how, but it happened. But I think I'll probably end up covering that up once I glue down about 20 little pom-poms. So I'm just going to keep adding Pool Party. until I think my sky is blue enough. I don't want it too dark, but Pool Party is a pretty light color, so it's forgiving. And then I'm just blending in the blue with the grass as well, and just blending those colors in together a little bit. So if you are new to blending brushes, I am definitely no expert, but I do enjoy blending and playing around with it. So my tip, and trust me, I'm no expert, but start light and just build your colors, because you can always add more color. And of course, it's just paper. So if you don't like what you've done, flip it over, start again, or cut yourself a new piece, just like that. All right, now I have in the Darling Dino stamp set, there's a little tuft of grass. So I'm just going to add a little bit to my background. And I'm just going to stamp at random. I don't really have a big plan for that. All right, a little bit more there. Perfect. Now I'm definitely done with the green. Let me get that out of the way. So what I'm going to do is take my little dinosaur, figure out whereabouts I want him, and then I'm going to glue down, I'm going to use some tear and tape, and I'm going to secure 5 pieces, about 5 pieces of linen thread. I'm just going to secure them down where I think that they're going to go behind this dinosaur and be partially covered. So wherever I adhere this down with a little tiny bit of tear and tape, I want the body of the dinosaur to cover that, but I also want the threads to poke out in between his tiny little T-Rex arm and his mouth, because I want it to look like he's hanging on to a huge bouquet of balloons. And you'll see, it's cute. So this is pretty finicky. I usually like to just slap cards together, so this one takes a little bit of time. But anyway, I'm missing comments. I'm sorry. Kate says, do I clean my blending sponges, or do you have one for each color? Okay, so I clean them. I rinse them out underneath a tap with just a gentle stream of water and let them dry. So I don't have one for each color. I actually have 3 blending brushes, but I will say my blending brushes are definitely rougher than some, and I was actually thinking yesterday when I was making a sample card that it's probably time to replace them. I hope that answers your question, Kate. Hey, Janice, thank you. Cindy, hey, Tanya, nice to see you. Okay, so I have an idea where I want him to go. His little arm's going to go here, so I know that I want the tear and tape. I just got just a little piece. It's maybe a centimeter. I am going to stick that tear and tape where I think this cutout is going to hide it. All right, so now stick that down, and you don't necessarily need to use the linen thread like I'm using. You could just draw balloon strings. There's in the stamp, where did I put it? I already put it out of my sight. There's also balloon strings, a balloon string in the stamp as well. So you don't have to add linen thread if you don't want to, but because I'm using pom-poms, I thought that the linen thread was a nice little touch. So I'm putting them close together, the ends of the string, and then when I glue them to the top of the card, I'm going to spread them out a little bit more, but I want them tight at the bottom, and I'll show you in 1 second. Just because if you were going to be hanging on to a bouquet of balloons, you're going to have that, if you have, let's say, 20 balloons on strings, you're going to have those strings like tight in a grip. So that's why I've got these close together, and then these strings, I'm going to just fan them out a little bit. So he is going here, which means my balloons are going to come up here. So I am going to add another piece of tear and tape that's going to be longer than that first piece. Hey Brenda, from freezing Tennessee. That sounds terrible. Robin, hello. You're in Toronto? I didn't know that. I did not know. All right, so I figure my balloons are going to start about here. Okay, now pull that backing off, and then we're going to stick the twine down. And I'm going to start with the first one, and I'm going to stick that about so. And with the tear and tape, it's pretty easy to manipulate. You can pick up your strings and move it if you don't have it exactly where you want it. It's forgiving. At least this way it's forgiving. Oh, I lost a string. I'll have to re-add that. So I'm going to have the balloons kind of going off to the left of the card, but it's going to be massive, a massive pile of balloons. So once I have my strings down, and I think that's good, I'm going to put a tiny bit of tear and tape on the bottom just to make sure that the strings don't come apart. But I'm not going to worry about the top, and you're going to see why, because there is more adhesive coming, so I do not need to worry about this. But I will trim some of the twine off. All right, so now I have got probably about 20 to 25 half-an-inch pom-poms I picked up from Michael's with my 40% off coupon. Actually, I bought probably $20 worth of pom-poms for the class. It was fun. It was fun. My friend Cindy made the this card, and when she asked me to come and help her, and I went over to see what she needed, and she had pom-poms stuck to almost every finger. I can't believe I never took a picture. It was the funniest thing. All right, so now I've got Tombow, and what I'm going to do is from the edges of that tear and tape, I am drawing a half a circle. So it almost kind of looks like an ice cream cone. And I am very liberal with my Tombow, as you can see. There is a lot of glue happening. Don't be afraid. Trust the process. But you also need some patience with this card. So you can see tons of glue. Let me see if you can see that. It almost looks like an ice cream cone. So now you just start adding your pom-poms, starting at the bottom edge of that glue and working your way around. So you could use tweezers if it's easier for you. I don't have a problem getting these stuck to my fingers like my good friend Cindy does. Cindy, if you're watching, I am totally ribbing you. It was the cutest thing ever, actually. So I'm just stuffing them around the corner, and then I'm going to fill in the inside, and I'm going to try to alternate my colors so I don't have a whole bunch of the same colors touching each other. And so the glue is wet. They are going to shift, but once these dry a little bit, you can start filling in the gaps very easily. So I've got a gap right here. I'm going to try to stick a pom-pom in, but it's likely going to shift. You never know, it might shift. So what I like to do is get as many as I'm liking. So I like that, but it's really, it's not dry, right? And there's some gaps that I can fill in. So now what I do is I take something and I'm going to weight it down. And I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it for 10, 15 minutes. Obviously not right now, but that's what I mean about a little bit of patience for this card, because these pom-poms, if you weight them down and use enough glue, they're not going anywhere. Like, they're stuck on there. I mean, obviously you could pull them off if you wanted to, but just general wear and tear, opening up the card, feeling the pom-poms, they're not going to come off. but they do need to sit for a while. So I'm going to let this one sit. And once it sits for about 10 minutes, then the glue's still going to be tacky in those spaces. Then I'm going to take more pom-poms and I'm going to like cram them into any space just to fill it and make it a really full bouquet. So this, I'm going to set it aside. I've got more pom-poms to add to it, but for now it needs to dry. And I have one that is ready to go. Oh, and I stamped this one too. I forgot to stamp that one. So I found out the hard way yesterday because I didn't stamp first, and I needed to find a really skinny block so I could stamp underneath these balloons. Anyway, I totally forgot to stamp that. I'll do that later. So these have all dried overnight, and you might see some of the balloons are really squished, and that's because I pushed it for filling in those holes. So now I'm going to add my little dinosaur. And the one thing I would like to do, and this is totally optional, but I want to make it look like he's hanging on to these balloons. So there's a little bit of white in between his hand and his belly. And I'm just going to cut a little slit with my paper snips. And I'm going to grab a piece of twine and I'm just going to slide that in where I've cut that paper. And then I'm going to tie a little knot or bow, whatever you want to do, and it's going to make it look like he's got those balloon strings wrapped around his wrist. And I don't know about you guys, but I remember as a kid, if I had any balloon that had helium in it, because helium balloons were a true treat, that and balloon animals. But if I ever had a helium balloon, you can bet that I wrapped that string around my wrist because I did not want my balloon to float away. I don't know if it's just me. Hey, Cherry Lane, thanks for tuning in. So that's kind of what I was thinking about with this little dinosaur. It reminds me of little Kate, who was so in awe of her floating balloon that she tied it around her wrist. Anyway, I am probably not going to make a bow. I don't know if I gave myself enough twine. I'm going to try one more time to make a bow. And if not, I'm just going to tie a little knot. Let's see. Well, I made a bow, but I don't know if I like it. I'm going to shorten it up and then I'm going to decide. So you don't have to tie a knot. You can just wrap that string around. Like this one. I'm going to show you. With this little dinosaur, I just wrapped the twine around his wrist and I secured it in the back with a little bit of tear and tape. But on the sample card, I tied a little bit of a little tiny knot around his wrist. So I'm going for the knot. I'm going to try one more time. I'm sure I can do a knot. Right, ladies? Anyway, so yeah, this was one of those sets I said I was not going to get. And I can't remember who it was that I'm going to have to go back because I save so many videos of other people coming up with their amazing ideas and then I forget about them. So somewhere in my saved videos, somebody somewhere did something really cute with the Darling Dinos bundle and then I was sold. So it was add to cart. And I don't even have little people to give this card to. I don't have grandkids. I don't have friends with little kids. Kai's not little. He's out of the dinosaur stage, but he was really into that dinosaur stage for a while, which was adorable. He was a little expert. I don't know if little girls are like this because I don't have experience, but little boys become subject matter experts in the things that they are interested in, and I think it's fascinating. Anyway, so tell me, if you are the mom of girls or boys, what's your experience with these little subject matter geniuses? Because he knew everything there was to know about dinosaurs when he was into dinosaurs, and then he was into big trucks. All right, so I'm just adding some dimensionals on the back of the dinosaur, and the only thing I want to do is not have dimensionals touch those strings. That is just a me thing. So you can't really tell, but I did actually reinforce that with extra tear and tape. I just pulled the backing off. It looks messy. So as long as I don't have dimensional showing or sticking on my balloon strings, I'm happy. So yes, Kai, he became a truck expert on all things big trucks. And he could tell you what kind of truck was coming down the highway before I could even see it. He just knew the shape. So we'd be driving along and I'd quiz him. I'd say, what's coming towards us? And he'd tell me if it was a Kenworth or a Mack or a Peterbilt. And yeah, it blew my mind. All right, I need one more dimensional right on the back. Wait, do I? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. All right, so now I'm going to pull these off. Why am I using my fingers when I have this handy take your pick tool? Is it a boy thing, Cherry Lane? Man, yeah. Well, I don't know. I've never had girls. I have girlfriends who have girls, and they are bright and intelligent and creative and all lovely things. All right. Now I'm going to stick them down, and if I can, I would like some of that twine to show up underneath his chin and in between his hands, so it makes it look like he's hanging on to those balloons. You can't really tell because it's just a tiny little gap, but I know it's there. All right, Brenda's daughter was obsessed with whales, and your girls were experts in Barbie movies and Polly Pockets. Well, there you go. Girls are experts too. Robin, your son, also was an expert. It's amazing. They're just so smart. Kids are so smart. Okay, now this gets glued onto my pool party layer. So you could pop it up, but I think there's enough things happening on this card. So I'm not going to pop it up. You will notice if you recreate it that it gets pretty wet from the massive amount of glue I used, and then it makes the card kind of buckle a little bit. I don't know if you can see, but the card got wet from all the glue, and you can tell it got wet. But because there is a massive bouquet of balloon pom-poms, you don't even know. All right, oops, I'm not straight. I'm never straight. All right, oh my goodness, it's only 7:30. I was worried that this card was going to take me way longer because, you know, balloons, it does take a little bit of time and patience to squish them down, but I think it's really cute. Plus, I still have about $10 worth of pom-poms to use up, so I'm going to have to make some more balloon pom-pom cards or figure out something else to do with pom-poms. I did not think I was ever going to buy pom-poms again. I remember actually throwing out pom-poms when I was decluttering Kai's craft drawer because he used to be super creative when he was a little guy, and he used all the things in his creation. And red was his favorite color. So I have a whole bunch of red pom-poms that it wasn't too long ago that I tossed them all. And who knew? Who knew I was going to decide I needed pom-poms? So this just leads me to believe, I have a theory that I probably should never throw anything away because you just never know. Nicola, your daughter was a huge dinosaur fan. You know, I think I would have loved Polly Pocket if that was around when I was a girl, because I thought little tiny play sets and stuff were so clever and smart. But I didn't have those when I was little. I had Cabbage Patch dolls were huge, and My Little Pony, the originals, and Strawberry Shortcake dolls. Yeah, I didn't really like dolls, but I sure liked those My Little Ponies. All right, there is the front of the card. Now, all I want to do is add to the inside, of course, and I have the stamp that says, "Hope your birthday is Dino-mite." Yeah, a little word pun, why not? So cute. Lisa, your great niece is 2 and she loves dinosaurs. That's really sweet. Is her birthday coming up? Because I can send you a card to give her. Oh, wow, look at that. I really inked that up. Wow, I wasn't paying attention. I inked up the edge of my block, but I didn't ink up the actual stamp. Oh, shoot. All right, I got to clean this off. That was a stamp fail. Okay, and try this again. is just paper. All right. I don't know how I did that. Okay, I'm going to try it again. What am I doing wrong? All right, there will be, I don't have any extra white right now, or do I? Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. I'll trim that down. Hang on. All right, I'm going to try one more time. Oh, you know what it is? I know what it is. I've got an uneven work surface with my scrap paper. That's the culprit. It's not me. It's my workspace. Okay, I'm going to try this one more time. And if I do not stamp a clear image, then friends, it's time for bed. There we go. I'm so glad it wasn't me. All right, so that is really cute. I actually quite like the sentiments. They're just the tiniest bit off, and they're not perfectly straight, and I'm on board with it. I think it's perfect, especially for a little person card. So, all right. Now, the challenge is going to be for me, because I have the attention span. Well, it just doesn't last. My attention span is so quick, so I will fall in love with a stamp set. I will make a couple cards, and then I'm on to a new stamp set. And then these beautiful stamp sets are super cute stamp sets. They just collect dust. So I'm on a mission. I need to, before the end of the weekend, I want to design at least 5 more. Oh, that's a lofty goal, but 5 more cards with this Dino bundle. So it can't be a one card wonder, which is kind of what I do sometimes. There's going to have to be some creating. I said I wasn't going to get it, then I got it. Now I'm going to commit to 5 more designs by the end of the weekend, even though I'm working full time and parenting and doing all the things. I'm just going to do it. All right, so that's it. That is the card. Look at those balloons. So the one that I've got drying, I am going to stuff some more pom-poms. I can probably do it right now, but you can see that it's actually really easy to add and fill in space when your base has had a few minutes to dry. So the glue is still tacky, and I can fill in all those spaces. Where are the rest of my pom-poms? They're somewhere, but I'm going to fill in spaces. I'm going to weight it down with my ginormous block, or your ink pads work too. Like you can stack a few ink pads on top as well. Just whatever you have to weight it down. All right, so that's it for tonight's card. And I posted a link. If you tuned in later on, there is a link for all the things. So if you haven't got to see the mini catalog yet or the celebration brochure, you can find it in a link. It's a link for all the things. Only so I didn't have a link specifically for the celebration catalog. It was all in one place. So that's where you'll find the things. And then the Delightful Wishes card class to go, it's still available. I'm going to put a link in the comments for this as well. These are 3 out of 6 designs for that class, and there's 2 ways to get this class. If you're in Canada and you are my customer, if you purchase the Delightful Wishes bundle, then you are just going to get this class. And if you are not in Canada, or if you are your own demonstrator, you already have the bundle, you shop with somebody else, but you'd still like the class, you can get the class for $25 Canadian. So for me, 2 ways to get it. Either you buy the bundle from me, I'm going to send you the class, or you could just buy the class straight out. It doesn't matter where you live. If you live in any other country than Canada, the online tutorials are available to everyone, but buying the bundle and getting the class for free is limited to Canadians simply because I don't have the privilege to sell to anybody outside of Canada. Stampin' Up rules. I don't know why, but that's the rules. So that is that. I'll pop a link in the comments for that. And I don't think I have anything else to tell you guys. I'm going to flip the camera around. There. Oh, there. So thanks for tuning in. If I miss comments, I'm going to go back and look. Sometimes I'm too busy. I don't know, getting glue on my fingers, and I'll miss comments or my computer lags or whatever the case. But I love it when you leave comments. I'm going to go back, I'm going to read them all. And if you are catching me on a replay, either on Facebook or YouTube, say hello, tell me where you're from. And if you make a balloon card, please share a photo. I would love to see it. So whether you have a cute little set that you can make somebody make a little critter look like he's holding balloons, or if you just want to do something like this. Now this one, all I did for this was I had a Stampin' Up marker in black, and I took a ruler and I drew a bunch of lines to a point that I hid underneath this banner. And then at the point, I drew more lines out. And then I just covered that point, if that makes any sense, with the banner. And this was the one of the cards that we did at the in-person class yesterday. All right, so I'll post the measurement photos in the comments. And if you're on Facebook, that's where you'll find them. And if you're watching on YouTube, the measurements for this project will be in the video description. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys either next Monday or Thursday. Thursday is a cake celebrations card class at home. So if you like cake, tune in and see what's happening. Bye for now.